Namimiss mo na bang lumabas ng bahay? Pumunta sa SM at mamasyal? Nasubukan mo na rin bang makipagsiksikan sa tiyanggi ng taytay? Nahirapan ka rin bang mamili ng mga damit sa dami ng nakadisplay dito? Nakapunta at nakalibot ka na rin ba sa bayan ng Taytay? Nakuha mo na rin ba ang papremyo mula sa live streaming ng palaro ni Mayor Localize? At higit sa lahat, gusto mo na rin bang pumasok sa paaralan? Magturo? Makipagtsikahan sa mga kaibigan? At umattend ng mga trainings? Tara, pag-usapan natin yan. Good day everyone! So welcome back to the afternoon session of our in-service training with the theme ACE Innovators Bridging Gaps, Enhancing Effectiveness in Embracing Challenges of Quality Education. So I hope that at the end of this session, you will be able to gain an in-depth understanding on contextualization, localization, and indigenization of the lesson. And these are our enabling objectives. So explain concepts, principles, and standards of contextualization, localization, and indigenization of the lesson. Apply concepts, principles, and standards to the actual preparations and practices in developing weekly home learning plan, lesson exemplar, and activity sheets. Develop and design, contextualize, localize, and indigenize weekly home learning plan, learning exemplars, and activity sheets. Okay, so let's have this first activity. So tell whether the following statements or situations illustrate localization or contextualization or both. You can pause this video. You may write your answer on your scratch paper or in your notepads dyan sa inyong mga cellphone nyo. Pwede din. I only have 5 items. Number 1. Gamit ang mga lokal na produkto ng inyong komunidad, gumawa ng advertisement kung paano ito maitatampok o maipakikilala. Number 2. Ano ba ang pakiramdam kapag brown out o kapag nawala ng supply ng tubig? Next, bumuo ng isang mini business plan gamit ang natutunan sa TLE para sa binabalak na negosyo ng grupo. Number 4, magsagawa ng price survey ng mga sangkap sa pagluluto ng pinangat. Number 5, matapos ninyong matutunan ng aralin tungkol sa produksyon, ang bawat pangkat ay inaasahang magsadula ng economic activity sa inyong lugar. Kung ang sagot nyo ay localization sa number 1, contextualization, localization and contextualization, localization and contextualization, then you are right. So, what are your bases in deciding whether a statement is localized or contextualized? What is your impression about localization and contextualization? This is the legal basis of localization and contextualization. So based in Article 14, Section 14 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, which states that the state shall foster the preservations, enrichment, and dynamic evolution of a Filipino national culture, based on the principle of unity in diversity in a climate of free artistic and intellectual expression. In Section 5.1, it states that the state shall take into account regional and sectoral needs and conditions, and shall encourage local planning in the development of educational policies and programs. it is stated that it is encouraged that we should have a local planning in the development of educational policies and programs. So kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng mga uh, AIP, SIP, at iba pang mga Ps. Hindi, joke lang. Ng mga program na naka-angkla sa ating mga programa sa paaralan na uh, naaayon sa pangangailangan ng ating mga mag-aaral. Yun. Okay, next. Localization and Contextualization is also from Republic Act 10533 or the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. From Section 10.2 D and H, implementing rules and regulations for Republic Act 10533. The curriculum shall be contextualized and global. The curriculum shall be flexible enough to enable and allow schools to localize, indigenize, and enhance the curriculum, syempre, based on their respective educational and social context. So, dapat ang curriculum ay flexible para ma-adjust ng bawat paaralan sa pangangailangan ng mga mag-aaral. Meron pa bang nakakaalala sa inyo ng ating mission and vision? Sige nga, paki-recite nga ang ating DepEd mission. Okay, so, to protect and promote the right of every Filipino to quality, equitable, culture-based, and complete basic education, where students learn in a child-friendly, gender-sensitive, safe, and motivating environment. Teachers facilitate learning and constantly nurture every learner. Administrators and staff, as stewards of the institution, ensures an enabling supportive environment for effective learning to happen. Family, community, and other stakeholders are actively engaged and share responsibility for developing lifelong learners. So, nandyan din na it is culture-based education. So as we go along with our inset, mapalad tayo kasi yung students learn in a child-friendly, gender-sensitive. This will be discussed by our dear principal. Nandyan yung mga child protection policy, gender-sensitive, yung mga bullying, yun. And then, at the second day of our inset naman, our head teacher, Ma'am Rodilian Villarias, will discuss the family, community, and other stakeholders kung paano ba yon. So, mas lalalim ang ating kaalaman patungkol sa mga ito. Yan. So, let's proceed. So, what is contextualization? Contextualization refers to the educational process of relating the curriculum to a particular setting, situation, or area of application to make the competencies relevant and meaningful and useful to the learners. That is contextualization. So, these are the examples. Nasa competency na yan sa totoo lang. Una, nilalapat ang kahulugan ng economics sa pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. Please bear with me because most of the examples in this presentation, lahat halos ay from Araling Panlipunan. Yun kasi yung mas mabilis mahanapan, ma-contextualize, and ma-localize. Pero lahat ng subjects ay pwede nating ma-contextualize at ma-localize. Yun. Next, we have kung ikaw ay bibigyan ng pagkakataong pumili ng sistemang pang-ekonomiya na paiiralin sa ating bansa, anong sistema ang iyong pipiliin at bakit? So, makikita rin ang contextualization sa art of questioning. So, based on how the competencies make useful to the learners, ano? Okay, so pwede rin sa art of questioning. Okay? So, you can able to contextualize in different phases of your lesson. Next, we can able to apply contextualization in our activity. Okay? So, pansinin nyo. Sabi dyan, suriin ang bawat item sa una at ikalawang column. Pagpasyahan kung ano ang pipiliin mo. Sa option A at B, isulat ang ikatlong column. Sa ikatlong column ang iyong desisyon. So, kung saan yung competency ay naililipat, na isasalin sa mag-aaral, kung saan nakikita nila yung gamit at kahalagahan ng competency na yon, kung paano nila i-apply sa kanilang mga buhay. Yun. Next, syempre, it is K to 12. Nasa curriculum mismo ang contextualization. Then, let's proceed to localization. As one of the degrees of contextualization, localization is defined as the process of relating learning content specified in the curriculum to local information and materials from the learner's community. So, lalabas naman na tayo. So, from within, then to our community. This is the example. Nasusuri ang iba't ibang estruktura ng pamilihan sa inyong komunidad na tumutugon sa pangangailangan ng maraming tao. That is competency. Ngayon, so paano natin yan malolocalize? Yan. So, kung ikaw ay mayor, napansin nyo ba? So, inaari na ng bata o ng mag-aaral yung isang posisyon o yung isang katauhan, ano, sa pamamagitan ng ating mga tanong. So, based on our art of questioning, so by developing HATS questions, so pwede nating mailagay yung localization as well as the contextualization. So, kung ikaw ay mayor, ano ang iyong higit na bibigyan ng bigat sa paggawa ng desisyon? Ang benepisyo mula sa industrialisasyon o ang epekto nito sa kapaligiran at sa mga mamamayan, sa pangatwiranan. Okay? Next, pwede rin yan syempre sa activity. So, ang bayan ko, magawa ng obserbasyon sa inyong lokal na komunidad. Ayan, so lalabas na. So, from within, so lalabas ang bata. At tignan kung ano-ano ang magagandang katangian nito. Yun, so, na-localize. Ang nagagamit yung mga available resources or mas kumbaga mas naibibigay natin sa mga mag-aaral kung paano nila maiintindihan ang kanilang komunidad, ang sistema ng kanilang komunidad. Okay, so ang best example ng localization ay yung mother tongue. Diba? Simula nung nagkaroon ng K-12, implement itong paggamit ng mother tongue sa mga bata. Okay? Lalo na sa from kinder to grade 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yun. Okay, why do we need to localize and contextualize the curriculum and the use of learning materials? These are the following reasons. So we have cultural diversity, geography, and individual. The phrase cultural diversity can also refer to having different cultures respect each other's differences. Yan. Then, ang geography naman, ito naman yung malawakang pag-aaral upang mahanap at maintindihan ang planetang lupa, ang populasyon nito, ang masalimuot nitong kayarian, di ba? Actually, meron niyang limang tema sa pag-aaral ng lokasyon, no? O ng geografiya. Una, lokasyon. Pangalawa, paggalaw. Then, interaction ng tao at kapaligiran. Rehiyon. And yung lugar mismo. Okay? Next, yung pangatlo ay individual. One of the reason that we need to localize and contextualize. Contextualize. We are unique individual. Sabi nga, even twins have differences. So, kaya magkakaiba. So, kaya dapat flexible ang ating curriculum para ma-relate or ma-adapt ng ating learners yung curriculum base sa ating cultural diversity, geography, and pagkakaiba-iba. Yun. Next, we have localization and contextualization. So the curriculum is alive. It changes depending who is implementing it, whether and when it is implemented. In order for you to localize, according to kay Undersecretary Dina Ocampo nung panahon ng 2013, sabi niya, in order for you to localize and contextualize the curriculum, you have to think of where you are so that you can make the curriculum relevant to you. So naniniwala ba kayo na ang curriculum ay buhay? Yes, kasi ito'y nagbabago, depende sa kung sinong nagpapatupad nito, saan at kailan pinapatupad upang maisagawa ang lokalisasyon at contextualization ng curriculum. So, kailangan mong isipin kung nasaan ka upang magawa mong makabuluhan yung sa iyo ang curriculum. Ayan, so kailangan mong kumbaga, kung dayo ka man sa lugar na yon, halimbawa, hindi naman ikaw taga Taytay pero nagtuturo ka sa Taytay. So, para mas ma-adapt mo or mas maintindihan mo, ma-localize mo at ma-contextualize mo yung curriculum, siguro you should think of where you are so that you can able to make the curriculum relevant to you. So, ibig sabihin, pwede ring aralin mo ang kultura ng mga tao doon, yung paraan ng pamumuhay, mga ganon, para mas mo siya, mas maintindihan, ma-localize mo at ma-contextualize mo para pagbigay natin sa bata ay mas maintindihan din nila. Kasi niisip nila, ay si ma'am, hindi porket o si ma'am or si sir hindi man taga dito sa atin, pero alam niya kung paano at kung paano ang pamumuhay ng mga tao dito. Paraan ng pamumuhay, ganon. Or yung kultura na meron kayo, na meron dun sa lugar na yun. Next is, when we localize, we agree to it. Yun, tama naman yun. This means that different areas in the country will also use different materials. They will use different instruments so that they can deliver the standards of the curriculum. Okay, so ibig sabihin, if we localize, it means we agree to it. We agree to the curriculum. Okay, so dahil dito, ba't iba yung ginagamit na materials sa bawat sulok ng ating bansa na naaayon o upang na naaayon dun sa lugar na yun. upang mas maihatid yung mga pamantayan ng curriculum. Okay, so meaning, localization, ito yung proseso sa pag-uugnay ng mga ng nilalaman sa lokal na impormasyong kagamitan mula sa komunidad ng mag-aaral. So, ang contextualization naman, or contextualization, ito yung tumutukoy sa proseso ng pag-aaral sa pamamagitan ng pag-uugnay ng curriculum, aralin sa particular na tagpuan, sitwasyon o lugar ng paglalapat upang gawing angkop, makabuluhan, at kapaki-pakinabang sa mga mag-aaral. So, para saan nga ba't inaaral niya ang mga yon? So, kung saan na ilalapat niya sa kanyang sarili. Okay, nagagamit niya. Nagtatransform, no? At na yung natutunan niya ay nai-apply niya sa kanyang sariling pag-unlad. Okay, next. So what is the difference between localization and indigenization? So as nouns, the difference between localization and indigenization is that localization is the act of localizing, while indigenization is the factor of making something more native. Transformation of some service, idea, to suit a local culture, especially through the use of more indigenous people in administration, employment, at marami pa. Okay, please watch the video about curriculum indigenization.
Curriculum indigenization. Localization, contextualization of the curriculum. Indigenization of the curriculum. Indigenous people education.
Philippines is home to around 110 indigenous people communities, numbering between 15 to 20 million. While varying in ways of life and culture heritage, they share similar experiences of discrimination and marginalization. In 1997, the Philippine government passed the Indigenous People Rights Act, or Republic Act 83 and 71, that recognizes and protects the rights of indigenous communities.
Indigenous people have curriculum too.
The indigenous people have a sequence of content and competencies to be taught. Indigenous education, therefore, has a curriculum. It actually values the importance of integrating their knowledge system to the existing curriculum. Now, doing such would probably create a ruckus in the classroom, wouldn't it? Which is why studies on indigenous curriculum provided a framework for linking indigenous knowledge with the
indigenous curriculum implementation of strategies at the school level.
Integrating contents and activities that reflect the learner's culture, history, traditions, and indigenous knowledge in the curriculum. Using the local language as the medium of instruction for several subjects like math, science, social studies, physical education, music, values education, and home economics, and livelihood education, involving community folks and local teachers in the development of the curriculum, developing local instructional materials and learning outside the classroom by utilizing various community resources that are available for conducting observations and investigations. Use instructional strategies that promote academic success for children of different culture.
Using and implementing these strategies will make the indigenous curriculum be of success. Do you agree with me?
watch the video about indigenization and the learnings that we had earlier about localization and contextualization. So ngayon, paano na? So paano natin ilo-localize and i-contextualize yung ating mga lesson? So we have this React strategy. So I hope na makatulong to, no? So curricula and instruction based on contextual learning strategies should be structured to encourage 5 essential forms of learning. So una, yung R, which is relating, E, experiencing, A, applying, C, cooperating, and T, transferring. So let's start with this R. So that is relating. So linking the concept to be learned with something the student already knows. So alam na nila yun eh. So ngayon, paano mo na ma-relate? Okay, learning in the context of life experience or relating is the kind of contextual learning that typically occurs with very young children. With adult learners, however, providing this meaningful context or learning becomes more difficult. So, by using your art of questioning, you can able to use this R for relating. So, mako-contextualize mo siya kung yung curriculum o yung concept ay maililink mo sa kanyang mga karanasan na alam na niya. So, that is linking the concept to be learned with something that student already knows. That is R for relating. Pwede yan sa mga sa reflective, mga ganun. After mong mapanood ang video, anong mo, kung ikaw yon, mga ganun. So, based on your art of questioning, lalabas dyan yung relating, kung saan ma-relate nila yung prior knowledge nila dun sa inyong lesson. So, this is one of the example. Ayan. So, ayan ang halimbawa kung saan may prosesong tanong. Mas nagagamit yung R sa ESP, magpanood ka ng video about sa lesson mo, tas magtanong ka, mabilis may re-release. Sa Filipino, pwede din. Saan pa? Sa math, pwede naman. Halimbawa, ngayon, yung mga kaso ng COVID. So, ilan? Ilan sa taytay or i-conceptualize ng maayos, halimbawa, paano natin ma-relate ito sa math? Halimbawa, using the statistical record of COVID patient in Taytay Rizal, if you were the son or daughter of COVID patient, mga ganun, para lang, mga ganun. So, para ma-relate lang natin. Then, compute the percentage, mga ganun lang. Yan, pwede rin sa TLE. Actually, sa lahat ng subject, pwede. Okay? So, kaya dapat tayo, yung pagpaplano natin, syempre naman, yung paggawa natin ng lesson exemplars ahead of time na ipaplano natin kung ano yung mga dapat natin ipaglalagay doon. Okay? Next, we can also use this E or yung experiencing. So, hands-on activities and teacher explanation allow students to discover new knowledge. So, na-experience naman, So, experiencing learning in the context of exploration, discovery, and intention. So, mas magagamit ito sa science, Pwede rin sa home economics or sa PLE, sa pagluluto, sa paggawa ng cake, ganun. Sa pagbuo ng, sa paggawa ng upuan, no? Ano pa? Saan pa natin pwede? So, na-experience ng bata, kaya mas natuto. So, ibig sabihin, siya mismo ang gumawa. Okay, so experiencing learning in the context of exploration, discovery, and intervention is the heart of contextual learning. However, motivated or tuned-in students may become as a result of their instructional strategies such as video, narrative, or text-based activities. These remain relatively passive forms of learning, and learning appears to take far more quickly when students were able to manipulate equipment and materials and to do other forms of active research. So, that is experiencing. Next, we have this example. So, tayo naman ay may mga rubric na no sa dun nga sa ating performance-based task na nakasaad na dun kung paano sila susukatin or lalagyan ng score. Ayan, so ito po yung halimbawa, hindi ko nababasahin, so pwede nyo namang basahin at pag-aralan about experiencing, Ayan. Okay, so next is A or yung applying. Students apply their knowledge to real-world situations. Dito, mas medyo nahihirapan ang mga mathematics teachers, no? Na minsan, pag tinanong, ma'am, saan ko ba gagamitin yung na yan, square root na yan, ganito, ganyan. Ang madalas na sinasagot ko, in computing the square root or any math problem, you can apply your skills, the developed skills that you had. Halimbawa, yung patience mo sa pagko-compute hanggang sa makuha mo yung tamang sagot. 'Di ba? Doon pa lang na-stretch yung patience mo at mas parang mas gusto mo pang kuhanin yung tamang sagot ng mga ganon. So, 'yun. So, pero meron ding mga topics na pwede nating mai-apply o yung mga competencies na talaga namang applicable in real life situation. So, applying concept and information in a useful context often projects students into an imagined future, possible career, or into an unfamiliar location or a workplace. This happens most commonly through text, video, labs, and activities, and these contextual learning experiences are often followed up with first-hand experiences such as plant tours, mentoring, arrangement, and internship. Yun na. Okay, that is applying. Okay. Pwede rin dun sa lesson exemplar natin, dun sa application, meron mga situational na ginagawa tayo. Pwede sa math, halimbawa, ginawa mong situational, yung application ng concept na yun, then that is applying. Yun. Next is, dalawa na lang. This is the example of applying. No? Kung saan ang example dito gagawa ng infomercial ang mga bata. So, na-apply nila yung natutunan nila. Then, yun. Pwede sa English, ganun. So, ibig sabihin na the student will able to apply their understanding to real world. Yun. Okay, so, let's have this C. Ano naman yung C? Which is cooperating. Students solve problems as a team to reinforce knowledge and develop collaborative skills. So, because of this pandemic, medyo napakahirap na gawin yung Pero pwede naman sila virtually. Yung ibang mga estudyante, nagkakaroon sila ng virtual coaching, yung tutoring. Yan. So, pwede naman yun, magpalitan ng konsepto virtually. Tapos yung iba, dahil nga iniiwasan na magsama-sama pa. So, medyo ito yung isa rin sa challenge sa atin. So, paano natin itong cooperating. Pwede naman sa family members, no? gawa lang tayo ng isang maganda-gandang situation kung saan ang teammate nila ay ang kanilang parents, siblings, yon. Cooperating, learning in the context of sharing, responding, and communicating with other learners is a primary instructional strategy in contextual teaching. The experience of cooperating not only helps the majority of students learn the materials, it also consistent with the real-world focus of contextual teaching. So that is cooperating. Okay, this is the example. Pagsusuri ng larawan. Aatasan ng mga mag-aaral na bumuo ng kanilang pangkat na may tig-tatlong mag-aaral. Pagkatapos ay ipasusuri ang mga nakikita sa larawan na sa kaliwa, pasasagutan ng ang mga prosesong tanong. Yan. Ano ang mga pinakita sa larawan? Ayan. So, maraming forms ng cooperating, lalo na nung alam ko, napakahusay ng ating mga guro, lalo na nung nasa old normal tayo, old normal. Yun. So, iba-iba yung paraan ng cooperation na ginagawa nila. Meron dong basta, ang dami kong napanood during classroom observation na naipakikita talaga yung cooperation ng mga mag-aaral ng bawat pangkat. Ayun. So, kaya sana bumalik na tayo sa classroom para mas magamit natin ito. Yun. Okay? Next. We have T, which is transferring. The student takes what they have learned and apply it to new situation and context. Learning in the context of existing knowledge or transferring uses builds upon what the student has already learned. Such an approach is similar to relating students develop confidence in their problem-solving abilities. If we make a point of building new learning experiences on what they already know. So, that is the last strategy sa ating react. That is transferring. So, learning the context of existing knowledge or transferring uses a builds upon with the student has already learned. Ayan, maita-transfer na ng bata yung natutunan niya sa real world. Okay? Ito ang example para si ayan, paglilingkod postal. Ayan. Then, nandyan na yung rubric kung paano i-scorean or i-gradean. Sa senior high, pwede ito yung mga yung NSTP, mga ganon. Sa TLE, yung na nila, yung pag-apply na nila ng livelihood. Yung, halimbawa, ang mga bata, nagagamit nila yung kaalaman nila sa pag-bake o sa paggawa ng tinapay. Kung saan naging nila yon, naging hanap buhay. At tawag doon, ginawa nilang negosyo. So, yun. So, isa yun sa pwedeng mga maging itong transferring. Okay? Ayan. So, tandaan. Remember that localization and contextualization can be done all subject areas. Yan. So, medyo kailangan lang talagang pag-isipan ng mga math teachers at ng iba pa. Special mention ko talaga, yung math. Kasi ako sometimes I find it difficult to localize and contextualize the lesson. Localization, maximize materials that are locally available. So, kung ano na yung nandyan, yun na yung gagamitin. So, ma-maximize natin, magamit natin. Halimbawa, sa Taytay, di ba? Meron tayong hamaka. Di ba? Hamba, makina, kasuotan. So, yung mga yon. So, kung magagamit natin yon, halimbawa sa TLE, magtuturo ka ng iba't ibang uri ng 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 paraan ng paggawa ng mga hamba, yung mga ganon. So yun, na natin, na maximize natin talaga kung ano yung meron talaga tayo. Yun. Then, ayan, okay? To contextualize, teachers use authentic materials, activities, interests, issues, and needs from learners' lives, and should create rooms for students to pose problems and issues and develop strategies together for addressing them. So, are you teaching contextually? Yan. Pwede niyong sagutan ito. It is a self-test. Are you Are new concepts presented in real-life situations and experiences that are familiar to the student? Are concepts in examples and student exercises presented in the context of their use? Are new concepts presented in the context of what the student already knows? Do examples and student exercises include many real, believable, problem-solving situations that students can recognize as important to their current and possible future lives? Do example and student exercises cultivate an attitude that says, I need to learn this? Do students gather and analyze their own data as they are guided in discovery of the important concepts? Are opportunities presented for students to gather and analyze their own data for enrichment and extension? Do lesson and activities encourage the student to apply concepts and informations in useful contexts, projecting the student into imagined futures or possible careers, and unfamiliar localization such as workplace? Number 9 and number 10, are students expected to participate regularly in interactive groups where sharing, communicating, and responding to the important concept and decision-making occur? Do lessons, exercises, and labs improve students' written and oral communication in addition to mathematical reasoning and achievement? So kung yes ang mga sagot nyo dyan sa mga statements na yan, then you are teaching contextually. Congratulations! Yun. Okay? So this is your task. Create your own hugot pa more quotation and tells or manifests the importance of localization, contextualization, and indigenization of your learning area. Then prepare, localize, and contextualize. Lesson exemplar, weekly home learning plan, and activity sheet. So yung hugot pa more, gusto ko siyang marinig sa pag-present nyo sa Thursday, Friday. So pag-usapan nyo kung ano yung hugot pa more nyo na quotation uh, that tells or manifests the importance of localization and contextualization. Isama nyo na rin yung indigenization. Okay, so kung meron kayong mga tanong nyo na yan sa mga katabi nyo. Hindi, joke lang. O sa mga kaibigan nyo. Itanong nyo na yan para mamaya sa question and answer, wala na kayong itatanong. Hindi. Biro lang po. Okay, kung meron kayong tanong about contextualization, localization, indigenization, pwede nyo yung i-part. Then, mamaya, tatry nating sagutin, kasama natin ang iba pa na mahuhusay na sasagot sa inyong mga tanong. And let me end with this quotation. It is what the teachers think. what teachers do and what teachers are at the level of the classroom that ultimately shapes the kind of learning that young people get. Wala man tayo sa classroom, ano, pero uh, we still uh, give the student what they need, 'di ba? So, nasa atin naman talaga nakasalalay kung paano natin sila mahuhubog na kung saan ay mas maging ano sila, produktibo, no? At maging kapaki-pakinabang sa komunidad. Yan. So, thank you very much and stay blessed everyone.